Hello everyone, Phoenix Knight here. Welcome to the channel, and welcome to a new playthrough on the channel. We're all set for a new game. Actually, this is not hardly a new game on the channel, but we've got a new playthrough coming up after a busy day yesterday with Christmas in Arkham, finishing up with our disaster with salvaging a mess from Elder Sign. Then we played Twilight Inscription, and finally we did a double ticker test in Momentum Football. Today, though, we're going back to an old favorite as we play Terra Mystica by Feuerland Spiele. In this game, we're building up the living space for our civilization by way of the most victory points. So we've got a little bit of setup to do, but before that, we can set the scene with the faction we're playing as. Today, we're playing as the Halflings in brown. Their home base is the Plains. Special ability is every time we use a spade, we get a victory point. And when there's, I don't remember what it's called in Terra Mystica. It's a planetary institute in Gaia Project or a palace in the Age of Innovation. In Terra Mystica, it's a stronghold. So when their stronghold is out, they get an income bonus of gaining 2 power and a one-time use of 3 spades. So that's what they get to use. It might be a little bit hard to see, but we are playing against the green faction today, and for the Automa faction, they're using the Druids. On the faction action, they take they transform and build on their home terrain, and Automa advances 2 spaces on a single track, cult catch-up action without placing a priest. That's part of their faction action. They also start 2 up on the fire track, which is just in shot, but that's right over here. We've got all of our favorite tiles and city tiles placed as usual, but we need to finish up a little bit of setup. So first up, we need to go through our bonus tiles today. This first one will be going to the Automa, as when you pass, you get 4 points per stronghold or sanctuary you have out on the board, and 2 workers. That'll go to the the Druids. As for me, I get a choice of the remaining 4. This one is a once per round action to advance 1 on any faction and gain 4 coins. That's on income. Whereas this one gives us 3 power on income phase, and our shipping track is considered to be +1. This one lets us build a workshop with a free spade and 2 coins on income. This one is 2 coins on income, and when you pass, 1 point per dwelling you have on the board. We'll also take a look at let's look at the round bonuses next. So in round 1, we're looking to place dwellings. 2 points per dwelling we place. Every 4 we're up on the water track, we get a worker, or we get not a worker, that's a priest. And if the Automa is up on water, they get 4 victory points. This one, if we're able to put out a stronghold or a sanctuary, we get 5 victory points. For every 2 we're up on the fire track, we get a worker, and the Automa gets no victory points, which is actually a good one because they already start up on the fire track. It's good for them, I mean. This one is all about putting trading stations out. 3 points per. Every 4 we're up on water, we get a spade, and Automa gets 3 victory points if they're up on that. Round 4 is all about forming cities, or forming towns, I think they are. 5 victory points per. Every 4 up on Earth gets us a spade, and the Automa gets 5 victory points if they're up on Earth track. Level 5 is once again all about putting down dwellings. 2 victory points per. Every 4 we're up on fire, we get 4 power. The Automa will get 6 victory points for that. And then round 6, we hold it like this. It's going to be all about putting out strongholds and sanctuaries again. 5 victory points per. The Automa will get 5 victory points if they're up on air, which they currently don't start up on air. So now I will take the build with a free spade. All right, so we've got that all set to go. Last thing we need to, let me see if I can adjust this a little bit so I have some room for the Automa deck. Here we are. We need to do initial placement. So since our home terrain is the plains, I want this first one to be somewhat toward the middle of the board. That way I've got room to expand. Let's see, my cycle is 1 to deserts or to swamps, 2 to islands and mountain and wasteland, 3 to mountains and forests. Let's see if I can get somewhere where we've got those around. I think we'll put this first dwelling down here because we've got a little bit of room here. We do have another plains over here, but that's going to take a bit of effort to get to. That's probably a good place for that first dwelling. It's actually down here in case you can't see that. Now we'll give the Automa deck a shuffle, and based on their priority card, which I forgot to leave out because I'm very bright like that, I've got their faction card out, but not the card that we used for initial dwelling placement, which that is not. No. What did I do with that card? Not that one. Usually I make sure it's out and ready to go. Unless I did leave it out and now I just now can't find it. Got their priority card, faction, difficulty. It didn't end up in with a deck, did it? No. Wait, is it? It might be this one, actually, now that I look at it. I think it actually is. Yeah. I think it actually is. Yep, it's this card. All right, so that's the one I need. The rest of these can go back to the bag. Now we can give this. Now we just put the Automa deck down right over here. All right. We'll give this a shuffle. And here's the card that we use for Automa faction setup. So for this card, we're looking at this section of the card. So A gets power, and A is their power structures, C is their non-power structures. So that brings us back over to the initial setup card. So we look for A. So since we're using the green faction, we're looking for A and C. So in this case, A for the forest faction is okay. A for the forest faction is all the way out here, so that'll be this space they're going to. So that will get a dwelling and a power token because the A on the card that we're using is marked with a power token. I realize most of you guys have probably played Terra Mystica by now, so you might not need a full walkthrough like this, but just kind of a habit for me as well to talk it through a little bit more. And then since C is marked with non-power, we come back to the card and see that C is all the way up here. So that will get a dwelling as well. And now we get to place my second dwelling. And I think a possible idea could be to go over here and try to gain a lot of free power leeching off of this building, of this dwelling up here. I don't really want to go down here because I'll have easy access to that. So I think I'm going to put my second dwelling down right here. Okay, that should be okay, so we have to build the Automa deck as well. Now the way we're going to do that is we're going to be playing on easy difficulty. So we're going to look for the cards that are marked with an asterisk in the lower right corner. So there's 1, 2, 3, 4, and 5. We'll shuffle the rest of these up and put these off to the side somewhere. And we'll give that a cut, and we'll put those off to the side. As for the rest of the Automa deck, we're going to take card number 3. Since we are playing on easy difficulty, I'll put that on top so that gets added before round 2. Okay. And then we'll turn the last 2 perpendicular. That way we know when we're there, they're in the end of round. Okay, I think with that in mind, we are all set up. So let's say we jump into this game. So the player will always start off as being the first player. First round, once again, we're all about trying to put dwellings down. So first we go through income phase. You get anything that's uncovered on your board from left to right. So in this case, I get 3 workers. And because I have the booster tile that says I get these, I also get 2 coins. So what do I want to do to start this game? If I'm thinking dwellings are going to be important for a good ways through the game, there's a temptation here. There's a mechanic where you can remove a power from bowl 3 and then move a different one into from bowl 2 and move a different one into bowl 3. Question is, do I think I could use a priest right away to start making my terraforming steps cheaper? And I think the answer to that, is going to be yes. So I will do that. I'm going to remove 3 power from the game to move 3 different power into bowl 3, and then I'll spend that 3 power to give myself a priest. And then the Automa, for their actions, draws 2 cards from the deck. So we'll walk through this first card slowly to describe what they're actually doing. So the right card is essentially going to be the support card there's going to be the support card. The left card indicates what action they're actually taking. So in this case, they're taking an action to block a power action, counting 2 from the right. So 1, 2, which means they're blocking off the build a dwelling with a free spade. And then they get X victory points, where X varies based on the difficulty of the game and the round. So because we're playing on the easy difficulty, X is equal to 0, which means the Automa will get no victory points. They're also considered to be at level 0 on their shipping track. That will also change in the course of the game. So we'll put this card up here, and then the discard pile will be down below the deck. This card will now become the next support card for the Automa's next turn. So with all of that in mind, we're coming back over to my turn. So I think we're going to spend 2 workers, a coin, and our priest to go up on our terraforming track. So normally it would cost you 3 workers per spade you want to spend, but now I've made it a little bit cheaper, so now it only costs me 2 spades, but I also get 6 victory points for that. 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. And that's it for my turn. So this card now becomes the support card for the next Automa action, and now because we're in the perpendicular section of the deck, the Automa is potentially passing. The way we know if they're passing or not is in the upper right corner of the action card if the scroll with a red arrow is there. Because it is here, the Automa is passing, they're not taking the action. Instead, they're claiming end of round for themselves. So the Automa gets victory points based on if they're up a track or not. Because they're not on the water track, they don't gain victory points. The Automa does, however, take the first player marker. We also need to know... Right. We also need to know what tile they're taking for the... These actually should have coins on them too, I think. Let me double check that, but I'm pretty sure whichever bonus tiles don't get chosen... I know that'll be a thing that happens later. Let's see, cult advancement, that's not what I want. Scoring tiles. Well, yes, they will get bonus coins at the end of the round. So in this case, they'll be taking the tile from the left side. So they'll be taking the advance 1 on any cult track and 4 coins on income. So now we're going to rebuild the Automa deck, and because we put card 3 back on top during setup, that will be the first card coming back, getting added to the deck. Okay. And we're all set there. We'll turn the bottom 2 perpendicular again. All right, coming back into my turn, let's see what I want to do here. Now I've got a little bit of a run of the board since the Automa has already passed. I'm going to go ahead and flip that tile over to indicate that they have passed. So I do want to take advantage of the build a dwelling with a free spade. And I think the way I'm going to do that is I'm going to build... Where am I going to build? So let me find a plains tile, which there's actually one right here on top. So that's very wonderful. Where am I going to build? I'm actually going to terraform and build on this wasteland space, but because it's 2 away on my terraforming cycle, I need an extra worker. So I'll spend 2 workers for the terraforming step. Then I'll pay the actual cost to build the mine, or build the dwelling, which is 2 coins and a worker, which I already paid the worker. I'm going to pay 2 workers, or 2 coins and get 3 back, which will let me put a dwelling down there. And because build the dwelling was the round bonus action, I get 2 victory points. And then because of my special ability, I get a victory point per spade I used. I actually technically used 2 spades because one came from the free action on the action on my round tile booster, and then I bought a second spade, so that actually gives me another 2 more victory points. And then, as easy as you please, I will pay 2 coins and a worker to put another dwelling down right here, and that'll be another 2 victory points to me. Then, since I'm out of workers, I will have to pass. And I think here... Let's see, so I'm getting 5 workers. I actually could put down my could put down my temple, or I could actually put down my stronghold this turn, this next round coming up. So I think in order to do that, this bonus tile right here looks a little bit too convenient for that purpose, I would say. So I will grab the 2 workers on income phase and 3 and 4 points per stronghold or sanctuary you have out. So that's the end of the round. When all players have passed, which we have, first we award cult bonuses, which I don't get the cult bonus there, and the Automa already didn't get their victory points. Then we return action tokens, which we didn't have that to worry about. Then we put coins on the bonus card, so the ones that are still available to be picked all get coins, which will be bonus coins, which just like they sound, will be bonus coins when they get picked. All right, then this tile can actually return to the box. Normally you'd say flip it over, but in the solo game it's double-sided, so there's a different version of this token that if it's used in later rounds. So that, okay, that's all in this bag. I'm trying to keep this somewhat organized, even though inside the big box this thing is a mess. So now we flip the Automa's scoring tile over. We're into round 2, where the bonus action is on placing dwellings, or is on placing strongholds or sanctuaries. But we are into the income phase. I get a total of 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 workers. Or 7 workers. So 2, 4, 6, 7. But the Automa is the first player. So once again, we'll flip over 2 cards. This will be the faction card. This will be the action card. All right, so the Automa faction, so the Druids are actually taking a transform and build. So we use this to determine where it's going. It's going to be not around their power structures, so it's going to be up in, I had my laser pointer in my hand and I put it down. So it's going to be up in this area using terrain priority B, and if there's a tie for equal spaces, then we count 3 from the top of the board. So they're building up around here, and based on priority B, they've got to be able to get somewhere that's adjacent to them. So since they're building up here, we first look on the card on priority B to see if there are any forests they can reach, and they're also at 0 on the shipping track. So there's no forests there they can reach. So now we move to see if there are any mountains that they can build on. There are no mountains they can build on. So the next space is island spaces, still nothing for islands. And then we move down to wasteland. There is a wasteland they can build on, which is right here. So they will put a dwelling down. So actually they will convert that into a forest first. This is taking me a little bit of getting used to, because usually the forests are coming out for me. So I'll put that down there. Put a dwelling down, and then they advance 2 spaces on a single track. It's a cult catch-up action, so it's anywhere we're close together. We're close together on the water track, so they advance 2 spaces on that track. And then because the Automa put a dwelling down on a space that's adjacent to me, I can gain power from that build. The way the power cycle works is it's 1 power, you gain 1 power. It's based on the strength of the building. So let me pull out a separate faction that's not being used so I can explain this. So based on the strongest building you have around you, you pay 1 less victory point than the power you would charge. So in this case, because I have a dwelling up here, I can gain a power for free, which I will do that. So I'll move a power from bowl 1 up to bowl 2. In the power cycle, you have to empty your lower bowls before you can start charging your higher bowls. So now that brings us over to my turn. Now I'm planning on putting a trading station out, The only question there is, where do I want to go with it? I think what I'm going to do with that is I'm going to put it right down here. This way I can take advantage of a cheaper cost to build that. So when you're looking at building your trading stations, there's a 3 or a 6 and a slash in the coin marker. That depends on if there's anybody else around. So in this case, since we are going to be if I were to look at building a trading station out here, I would need 6 coins to do that. But because I'm going to be building it next to somebody, next to the Automa player, which is up here, I'm only going to pay the 3 coins for that. So we'll put a 5 in, get a 2 back. I'll pay my 2 workers as well to upgrade this dwelling into a trading station. And then that is it. This card will move to the discard pile. And once again, our last round's action card will become this round's support card. The Automa is taking another faction action. Again, around their not power structures, looking at priority B. So going back to the Automa's faction card again, we see that forests are still not an option for them to get to, but now there is a mountain space for them to get to. They can get to this mountain space up here. So that is where they will build. So they'll put a forest tile down here, put out another dwelling, and then they'll advance 2 spaces on catch-up again. It could either be earth or air. Based on catch-up mechanic, I think we'll use the directional selection tiebreaker on the card, which will be counting over 3 from the right. So 1, 2, 3, they'll go up on the air track. And then because they built up here and I have nothing adjacent to them, I can't do anything with power upgrading. Which is probably fine for me, because I will actually go ahead and put down my stronghold, which is going to cost me 4 workers and 8 coins. Normally it costs 6 coins. I don't know why it's more expensive for the brown faction, but I will upgrade this trading station to my palace, which will give me 5 victory points. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. And then on income phase, I now unlock gaining 2 power, but I have a one-time bonus of 3 spades. So now where do I want to put these down? I can put them down anywhere on the board. I could even use multiples, but I think what I'm going to do here is round 5 is all about building. Round 5 is going to be about building workshops again. So I think I'm going to do a little bit of setup in here I either want to do a little bit of setup here toward making that space bigger, or I might want to try to expand my reach over here. What do I want to do here? I need 1 spade to turn, I need 1 spade to turn that, and that all into plains. Also, that's applicable to turn into plains as well. And since I'm getting spades, I do also get the 3 victory points. So I think we also could convert this right into plains, so I can potentially make a connection down here. So I've got some ways I can expand out. Actually, how high a priority would plains be? If they work on priority A, they don't go near plains. B, they don't really either. Which is part of the reason why I picked. When I play these types of games, I tend to try to pick factions that are on the opposite side of the terraforming wheel from each other. That's true in Terra Mystica, Gaia Project, and Age of Innovation. So that is a definite strategy consideration. They're going to be up on the shipping track next turn. So I think... So now they could start coming over here potentially. But we'll see about that. I think I will put down... let's go ahead and put down here, here, and here. And then that will give me 3 more victory points, bringing me up to 40 since I used 3 spades. And then the Ottoman, because they're in their perpendicular section now, is potentially passing. They are not passing, so instead they're going to take an action to block a power action, counting 2 from the right. So 1, they'll actually skip over what's already been spent. They'll skip over an action that's already been counted as used and move over to 2 to block off taking 7 coins and no victory points. So that gets discarded. That's now our support card. And you're surprised I'm not playing Age of Innovation instead. That's actually still scheduled coming up a little bit later in the month, Jester, so be patient on that one. At work, should be in and out. All good. Let's see. Then I think for me, I am stuck passing at this point because I've got 1 worker and 1 coin left. But since I'm passing with a stronghold on the board, I get 4 victory points for that. 1, 2, 3, 4. And then I also get first player back, and I get first pick of the round tiles. So I think here, well, here I need coins, so I'm going to take the one that, actually they both only give me 2 coins, don't they? And I kind of hosed myself a little bit out of the... I potentially hosed myself a bit out of the round bonus because I'm working on putting down so many dwellings down in this space of the board. So any one of these gives me 3 coins. This one could have the potential to get me as many as 6 points, depending on... Actually, I'm not going to have anywhere near enough coins to do that. I'm not going to have enough coins to do that. So I think here... yeah, I think we just take this booster. This is the 2 coins on income and pass, and get a point per dwelling whenever we pass. And now we're in the last card of the Automa faction deck, so the only question now is if they're taking the action on the card. They are. So they're trying to upgrade a dwelling to a workshop, or a dwelling to a trading station, which they can do that. So they focus on... So they've got several they can upgrade. I'm going to double check how this works, but when they're trying to upgrade a structure that they can, so select adjacent to any of my structures. So they've got 2 that are adjacent to me, which means based on directional selection, we take the first one coming up from the bottom of the board. Actually, that's anything, valid structures. If they have a trading house available, they go anything adjacent to me. So they will be upgrading this trading station to a dwelling, or this dwelling to a trading station. Reverse that. Apparently I can't speak English today. And there's an X where they would gain victory points, so they don't get anything. I, however, will spend 2 victory points on the power cycle to gain 3 power. 2, 3. You guys may hear me say gain and charge power. I basically use the 2 interchangeably because I'm also quite used to Gaia Project, where the wording there is charge. In Terra Mystica and Age of Innovation, it's gain power. So again, a little bit used to it that way. And then the Automa's out is through their deck, so now they get their bonuses. They don't get any victory points. Actually, I need the one last thing I need is I need the booster, as I need the tile that they're taking. So they're taking the leftmost tile, and of course they had the 4 coins one, which would have been handy for me. The Automa does not keep coins, by the way. Okay, so with that in mind, now we go through cult bonuses once again. We go through end of round. Cult bonuses are not a thing because we're not up on the fire track, and the Automa gets no victory points for that. Let's see. Not save spades, yada yada yada. All right, return action tokens, but those are already there. Coins on bonus cards, so whichever ones aren't being used get a bonus coin. That can go back to the box. And we'll rebuild the Automa deck. All right, we'll give that a cut and then flip those 2 perpendicular. This will flip back over, and now we're set for round 3, where round 3 is all about putting down trading stations. The only way I'm doing that, however, is if the Automa brings a dwelling, actually not even they bring a dwelling down here because I don't have the coins to do it. Let's see, 2, 4, 6. I'm also short 1 power to be able to bring that in. So on income phase, I will get 4 workers and 2 coins. I also gain 2 power, so now actually I do have a way I can get the coins I need. The question is, do I go ahead with that plan? That's going to require me to burn 4 more power, though, and remove it from the game. Which I think I will go ahead and do that. So I'll remove 4 more power from the game. This is probably a risky play, but we'll go with it. You're inside the crease was a terrible outcome. I'm going to switch over to either Strat or Stone Cold Hockey. Yeah, I was watching that Inside the Crease hockey stream last night, and you looked like you were having a fit with that, to be nice about it. I think I even made a comment in chat where even in digital, apparently Inside the Crease looks like a sprawling mess. So good to know that probably a good thing that I've now found Strat as being my main hockey simulator of choice. Anyway, coming back to Terra Mystica, we'll spend the 4 power to get 7 coins, because that's the only way I'm doing anything with trading stations this round. Also, the Automa is now considered up 1 on the shipping track since it is round 3. 2 cards for the Automa deck. So first action for the Automa is they're taking a faction action around their not power structures, so up here on priority B, and coming over to priority B, we see that forest is their first priority, and because they've got a forest space right here, gee, I wonder where they're building. They're putting a dwelling down on that forest space. And then with the faction, they're going up 2 on ketchup. So it could once again either be earth or air. Based on directional selection, 1, 2, 3. This time it's going to be earth. So they're up 2. And they're not adjacent to us yet because they just put something down here. They are adjacent, however, to these plains that we're going to, and I think that's where we're going to build next. So that'll cost me 2 coins and a worker, and I'll put a dwelling down right there. That way I can easily build a trading station right here. But now let's see what the Automa is doing next. The Automa is taking another power action. This time they're blocking two from the... They're blocking two from the right again. So we'll count 1, 2, and that's the action they're blocking off. And X is still 0 at this point of the game. As for me, it now costs me 3 coins and 2 workers to upgrade this dwelling to a trading station, which I think I will go ahead and do that. So this dwelling now becomes a trading station, and I get 3 victory points. So 1, 2, 3. Actually, the Automa... I don't think I gave the Automa their victory points from... Oh, no, they didn't. They weren't up on water, so they don't get those victory points. Okay, so now I just upgraded the dwelling to a trading station. Next up for the Automa, we will have... taking another power action, blocking off 3 from the right. So 1, 2, 3, blocking off gaining a priest. I do have another option available to me where if I want to spend 2 power and 5 coins, I could put down a... Is it a temple? My initial thought was it's not a temple, but it is a temple actually, which would give me a favor tile right here. So, actually that could set me up potentially for round 4 when it's time to see about forming a city. And I think that is what we're going to go with. So we're going to spend our last 2 workers and 5 coins. I'm going to upgrade this trading station to a temple, which now gives me an income of a priest on income. But more importantly, it also gives me a favor tile, which I could potentially... There's a few options out here that I really like. Straight 3 favor is never a bad thing. There's also a 2 fire, which gives me 6 power when it's time to form a city, which I could easily do when I put my first dwelling down in this section of the board. Am I playing with the 3 expansions for Terra Mystica or just base game? Just base. So yeah, few very good options. Also, coins is never a bad thing either, because I'm basically relying on the on the round boosters to get me my coins. And there's no way I'm getting up the water track for the cult bonus this round. So, the 2 air, which just gives me 4 power on income, is never a bad thing. Bunch of add-on factions that people created. I don't think I've tried any of those. I do have those factions though. I'm pretty sure I do somewhere in the library. Let's see. I think here, now that I'm down a lot of power and it's going to move more easily, I'm going to grab the... I was looking at the 4 power initially I was looking at the 2 air and 4 power. I'm already gaining 2 power from the stronghold being out, which actually that's still not a bad thing. So I think I will grab the 2 favor on the air track and 4 power on income. But because I crossed a power threshold up here on the air track, I do gain a power from that. And then once again, the Automa is potentially passing because we're in the perpendicular section of their deck. They are not passing, they're trying to upgrade again. So they're looking for something adjacent to they're trying to upgrade into a trading station. which they have plenty adjacent to me. So yeah. So they have something adjacent to me. They've actually got 2 adjacent to me. The tiebreaker is trying to give me as little power as possible. So in that case, that's going to be this dwelling to a trading station, because that'll only give me 1 power. That'll only give me 2 power for 1 victory point. Still, that honestly seems like a steal. So I will go 1 victory point to gain 2 power. And unfortunately, I'm tapped out of resources, so I will have to pass. But I will gain 3 victory points. 1, 2, 3, going up to 47, because that's how many dwellings I have on the board. And here, since I need coins badly, I think I am going to take the 1 on any track and 4 coins on income. That'll give me a coin as well. And then the Automa is in their last card of the deck, so the only question is if they're taking the action or not. They are not. They're passing instead. So they actually get 3 victory points because they are... I don't think they... Oh, they must have gone up on water this round. So they get 3 victory points. Finally getting on the board with getting up to 23. Then they take the rightmost. So they take the leftmost tile. Then we'll go through cult bonuses. I gave the Automa their 3 victory points. I'm up nowhere on the water faction. Let's see. And cult actions. Then we put coins out. Two, 3. And we'll rebuild the Automa deck. Yeah, OBS. So when I set this game up, do I choose a faction that's opposite from the AI, or choose the AI based on which faction I am? So I usually set up my faction first, and then I choose the AI based on which one I'm creating, and I try to set up opposite from that basically I try to set up 2 opposite factions, which one I play as, and then I go on the opposite side of the color wheel. I'm a little bit more randomized in Gaia Project than I am. I'm usually a little bit more randomized in Gaia Project. Age of Innovation, I'm the same way, where I try to set up opposite. Hopefully that ramble made sense. I'm just shuffling the Automa deck here just to make sure everything is all set. All right, we'll turn the 2 cards perpendicular. Then I'll turn this over, and that can go back to the box. Playing Gaia Project today. That is the plan. That'll be later this afternoon. That should be sometime this afternoon. On the table or on Arena? I'm leaning toward the table, but I haven't decided yet. I'll have to see if I can get at it on Arena. We'll see, though. Where was I? Oh, yes. Round 4 is now all about building cities. So now we're into income phase. I get 4 tools, a priest, and 4 coins because I have the booster tile for that. I am still first player, though. With the expansion, BGA is very sweet, makes playing it so much easier. If BGA has the expansion in it, maybe. Otherwise, if I'm going to try it on the table, I'm probably going to need to. If I'm going to try it with the expansion, I'm probably going to need to play it on the table. But again, we'll see about that a little bit later. I am definitely all set here if I want to form a town in this area of the board. BGA does not have the expansion. So I guess I'll make the decision a little bit later on if I want to play on the table with the expansion or BGA without. But I'll know that by the time I go live. And I'll try to make a note in the title of the video if I'm playing with the expansion or not. Anyway, coming back here. So if I'm wanting to form a city this round, it's going to need to be in this area of the board. And with 2 planes around, I can very easily do that. And I don't think the Ottoman is going to be able to stop that from happening. So I think, since this is potentially closer, I will go ahead and spend 2 coins and a worker and a tool. Put a dwelling down here. I just want to make sure I don't run into any surprises on trying to build a city this round. Next up for the Automa, well, the first action of round 4 is sending a cultist over to a track. So they're going to be sending 3 from the right, which 1, 2, 3, they'll be sending over to the water track. Taking the 3, 1, 2, 3. Okay. And it's discarded like that. As for me, would love to hear my thoughts about the expansion. Played with it and had a terrible time. You'd love to hear my thoughts on it because I'm more familiar with Gaia Project. I think I can probably arrange that. I'll plan on, as of now, I'm going to plan on playing, in that case, as of now, I'm going to plan on playing with the expansion, which means I'll be back in here for that. Coming back to our immediate game, though. I actually never did income phase. So I get 5. Actually, I think I did. Yeah, I did. The only thing I didn't do was the gaining 4 power from my favor tile. Or the 2 power from my stronghold. Whoops. Found the new planet types a real pain and didn't add anything to the game, and the ships were worthless to invest in. Let me grab... So hold on a second while I think about my next action. I'm actually going to go... Never mind. I've got a notebook right here with some scratch paper that I can use. So let me jot down some notes. This is not to take me in with a biased game. What I'm looking for here is what I'm looking for here is I want to make sure of the stuff to look at. Card everyone. That doesn't completely answer my question, but the start. Let's see. So, Jester thoughts on Gaia Project expansion. Let's see. New planet types of pain. I will warn you, though, that it will be my first time playing with the expansion. So that'll be learning. So cannot line the expansion if I need, but it's not that hard. Don't worry about it. I will probably be living in the rule book for that, but I expect it's not going to be a huge problem. Let's see. So new planet types of pain and not adding anything. And the new faction uses the new planet type, and it's a weird system. Let's see. New ship's worthless. And new faction with new planets. And weird. Okay. So I've got my notes there. I will make sure I take a look at... I'll make sure I try to look into all of that. All right, let me just type this out. Okay, so there isn't a new planet type. It's that weird hybrid thing. No, you're all good, Jester. I'm actually a little bit off track here because I just got a comment. I just got a reply on a comment I left on another video, and I'm trying to get some questions done. I'm looking into potential. Actually, you might know this answer off the top of your head. So I'll ask you. So I've been looking off and on into getting Fall Classic baseball, but what I want to know is how Fall Classic handles trades. So I was just dealing with a comment from RJL on his last one and gone tournament. The question I have is, if a player is traded during the season, is there going to be another card for them? So let's say, for example, it's probably not the most accurate example, but let's say Roger Clemens got traded mid-season in 97. I don't remember what his exact trajectory was. He was a Red Sox. Let's say he got traded to the Blue Jays. In the 97 season, would there be a card for Clemens on the Red Sox and the Blue Jays? Or would there be just a card for him on the Blue Jays? In other words, how does it handle trades? Do they card everybody on every team they played on? Or is everybody carded on the team they ended on? So that's what I'm looking for here. But enough rambling on that. Coming back to our game of Terra Mystica here, we've now got 5 power, so that kind of opens up my options a little bit. I could start screwing around with the tracks if I wanted to as well. But I think for now, I am going to make sure my city gets formed this round. So I'll spend 2 coins and a tool to put this dwelling down. And because I've got 7 power and at least, 4 buildings? I believe it's 4 buildings to form a town. And it just happened, so I do need to... Okay, yeah, 4 structures of 1 color and at least 7 power. So I've actually got a total of 6 structures around here, and it's a total of 7 power. So the temple is worth 2, and each of the dwellings are 1. So that gives me 7 power. It also gives me a town, which I think will be... let's go with... Well, 6 victory points and 8 power is absolutely useless when I've only got 5, and it's all in both 3 already. I think we're going to go ahead and pick up the 2 victory points and 2 power on every track. That'll give me 2 more victory points and 2 power on every track. So 2 up on fire, 2 up on water, 2 on earth, which wastes a power, and 2 up on air, which wastes 2 power. But the most important part was actually starting to make some headway on the cult tracks. Each player only has 1 card, and it's on the team they ended with. So if player A starts on the Yankees and gets traded to the Cubs, he would have a Cubs card. You can double check when you get home, but you're most sure that's how they do it. All right, I would appreciate a look at that, because I'm like I said, I'm deciding if I want to get Fall Classic, but I want to see, and maybe add it to my baseball system repertoire, but I want to see how it does trades so I can figure out if I'm going to end up using it as a replay later, what I want to do, what I need to do in terms of trades. Coming back here again, we'll draw a new card up for the Automa. They're taking a transform and build around their not power structures on priority B. So around not power is up here, based on priority B. You might have some Fall Classic on your computer at work, so let you check. Okay, again, I'd appreciate that. Going to B sends us into forest, but they've got no forests around. Mountains, they don't have any mountains they can get to right now. Islands, they do have a couple of island spaces they can get to. They've got 2 island spaces out here, which means the tiebreaker for that has at least 1 dwelling to place they do. So actually, they're also up on the shipping track, so I need to remember that. Are there any... So they're looking around, they're not power structures, which means they can skip a water space. Skip a water space, and they don't have anything within range 1, skipping a water space they can get to around their not power structures. They could get here, but the problem is the card we were drawing from says it comes from a power structure, from a not power structure. That is essentially marked as a power structure. So for the islands they get to is valid spaces within range of an unmarked structure. Okay, and it's not marked, so reaching is not a thing that they're having to worry about. Okay. All right, faction action tiebreaker. They're not building from a faction action. Automa terrain priority, which was on priority B. So it's one of those islands and space closest to any of my structures. So this is actually closest to any of my structures. This one's also an option, but it's not close to any of my structures, so they're actually building in here. So they get another forest tile. As I cuss and swear, here we go. I was going to say, as I cuss and swear, wondering where in the world are the forest tiles. They'll put a dwelling down there, and that gives them 2 victory points. And then because I've got a temple and a dwelling right here, I can spend 1 victory point because the temple is the most powerful. Actually, no, I'm not going to bother doing that. And Jester, I will apologize as well. I know I'm going through Terra Mystica in intelligence insultingly slow detail, since I know you know how to play this game, but I'm also kind of going through this nice and slow for anybody who might be new encountering this game for the first time. So my apologies on how slowly I'm going through this. As for my turn, I definitely have options in front of me here, which I think I will spend 4 power to gain 7 coins, because I'm going to need those more, especially since we're getting ready for dwellings again, and I could potentially set up to make my terraforming steps even cheaper. Let's see, this is the next support card for the Automa's next action. They are taking a power action again. They're blocking 1 from the left. So they're blocking off the option to build a bridge and still getting no victory points. As for me, let's see, that should still be in bowl 3. Let's see, as for me, I think I will take that option. So I'll spend 2 coins, actually it's 2 workers, a coin, and my priest. And Troy Sawyer, welcome in, new encounter. So hopefully if you've been watching this for a little bit, you're learning something out of this, for how slowly I'm going through this game. So now I'm spending the 2 workers, a coin, and a priest to advance my terraforming track up to the top, which gives me another 6 victory points. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. And now my terraforming steps cost me 1 worker per step. So that'll be helpful for me going into round 5, where the goal is all about putting down dwellings. As for the Automa, their next action is they're taking another power action, blocking 1 from the right. So they're blocking off the build a dwelling with 2 free spades. And for your benefit, Troy, I'll stop and explain this a little bit briefly. So when the Automa takes an action like that, they will actually skip over the cards. So let's say these two were reversed. And this was actually, maybe this is not the best example. So I think the way we're going to do this is we're going to pretend that they were coming 1 from the left. So what the Automa would do here is they would start at the left. They'd see, oh, this action has actually been taken, so I don't count it. And they'd start with this. So they'd block this action. They'd block the 3 power to gain a priest off instead. That'll make a little more sense when the count... Let's actually make that a little bit of a bigger example, so that makes more sense. Let's say, actually, now let's reverse that, and we'll say that they were taking a faction action, or they're taking a power action and counting 3 from the right. So they would start here, see, oh, this one's blocked off, I'm going to skip that. They would advance 1. Then they'd move here, they'd see, oh, this one's skipped, so I'm not going to count that one, and they'll skip that. Or they see this one's been filled, so they're going to skip it. Then they're going to go 2, 3, and they would get to the same place anyway. Hopefully that makes sense for you. Coming back to my turn, though, I'm out of workers, but I do have an option here on a once per round action to advance 1 on any cult track, which will be going up on the Earth track so I can actually get the cult bonus. And now because we're in the last 2 cards of the Automa deck, the Automa is potentially passing. They are not. You have to see this symbol on the upper right corner. You'd have to see this symbol in the upper right corner of the action card. Because it's not here, the Automa is not passing. They're taking the faction action, which in this case is going to be to try to upgrade a dwelling to a trading station, which they do have. This part is irrelevant because I would give them a favor tile only in rounds 5 and 6. So in this case, the Automa is looking to upgrade a dwelling into a workshop. Or a dwelling into a trading station. So with that, they're trying to give me as little power as possible, which they could upgrade either this dwelling or this one. This one would give me 3 power if they upgraded. This one would give me 2. So this is the one that they're going to upgrade. They're going to upgrade that dwelling into a trading station. And now with the power cycle, I will spend 1 victory point to gain 2 power. And Troy, if you have any questions about the game, feel free to stop me and ask about it. I'll try to explain as best I can here. Also, Jester is very familiar with Terra Mystica, so he might be able to chip in what I'm not able to as well. Anyway, now since I'm out of workers and out of actions to do, I am going to have to pass. So, what do I want to do? So, what round tile do I want here? Let's see. So I've got a few options here. Next round is all about putting down dwellings. I think with putting down dwellings in mind, I probably should start working on building a city around this area of the board and then eventually tie it together. So I think to that end, I'm going to need coins for that, but I'll be getting more power. I think I am going to take the gain 3 power and +1 on the ship and consider +1 on the shipping track for the round. So that can go back. I also need the 3 coins from that. So now we're in the last card of the Automa deck. The only question is if they're taking the action or not. They are. They're taking a faction action around their power structure, around their marked structures on priority A. So we go to the Automa's terrain priority card. We see priority A is a forest, and because they're up on the shipping track, at this point of the game, we're at round 4, so the Automa is up 1 on the shipping track, which I will advance that. That gives them 2 victory points. Because they're up there, they can actually get to this forest structure, this forest space right here. So they will put a dwelling down, marked with a power token. And then they'll advance on a cult track based on catch-up. So with that in mind, they will advance 2 on the fire track, because we're tied there. And then the Automa faction will build their deck. Actually, they need the rightmost tile, so they get this one. And of course, the Automa, again, does not keep resources. And then we'll build the deck. Just giving the Ottoman deck here a quick shuffle. And a cut. And we'll turn the top two over perpendicular once again. All right, cult bonuses. The Automa is up on Earth track, so they get 5 victory points. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. I'm up at least 4 on the Earth track. I'm up exactly 4, so that gives me a free spade. The only question is, where do I want to put it down? I think I'm going to put it down. Well, at this point, I definitely need to have an eye towards starting to expand out here. So I think we're going to turn something straight into a plains, which I think we're going to turn... I either want to turn this desert or this mountain into a plains. Actually, this desert would go to plains. This mountain would go to wasteland. My spades cost me... My terraforming steps cost me 1. So I think with that, I'm actually going to turn this mountain into a wasteland. And because I get a spade, I gain a victory point going up to 55. All right, that's cult bonuses. I'll put a coin out on each of the tiles that aren't used. There we go. And then this tile can go back into the bag, which is aka the box here, but I put everything away at once. And now we're into round 5, where the goal is putting out dwellings. Income phase, so now this flips over. Income phase, I gain a total of 5 power, so that's 2 up from bowl 1, 3, 4, 5. I gain 2 power from having my stronghold out, plus 3 from the round booster. That's how I'm getting to 5. Then I gain 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 workers. So 5, 6, and a priest. All right, for my first action of the round, I'm also considered to be up 1 on the shipping track for this round. But I think we're going to... Okay, also those should all be cleared as well. Along with that one, even though I'm not doing anything with it. The question is, what do I think I'm going to need more? Do I think I'm going to need coins or workers? Let's see, I'll need 1 to get this into a plains. That's going to be 2, because I need the 1 to be able to build a workshop there as well. So that's going to be 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, which means I have enough workers. That'll make my issue being coins. So that would be 2, 4, 6, 8. And if I want to be able to advance on the shipping track as well, I am going to need coins. So I'm going to spend my 4 power to gain 7 coins. And that will be my first action of the round. As for the Automa, what they're doing is they're starting off by trying to upgrade again. And now that we are in round 5, this part does become relevant. They're trying to upgrade into a trading station. They're trying to upgrade a dwelling into a trading station, which they still have 1 available, so they can. And now they're looking at 2016, Andrew Miller was a Yankee and played 44 games and has a Yankee card. Then it was traded to the Cleveland Indians. So now the question is, does he have an Indians card after being traded? Troy, in case you're confused, I asked Jester to check into something on a game called Fall Classic Baseball, and he's doing that for me. For Cleveland, he played 26 games and has a card for the Indians. Okay, so what that tells me is a player will get carded on every team they play it on. That is good to know. Thank you for that information, Jester. Coming back to Terra Mystica, though. So they're trying to upgrade a dwelling to a trading station. This is the only trading state or the dwelling they can upgrade that's adjacent to one of my structures. So I'll make that into a trading station, which will also give them no victory points. And then as far as the favor tile is concerned, they'll take from the track one from the left. So if you think if they played 15 plus games, they probably have a card. All right, that is good to know. Let's see, taking the favor tile available plus 3. All right, so they're counting 1 from the left, which means they're taking 3 on the fire track. They're going up another 3 on the fire track. Oop, come on. 5, 6, 7. All right, and then since they upgraded the dwelling adjacent to my stronghold, I do get to spend 2 victory points to gain 3 power, which I will do. All right, so now over to my first, actually this is my second action of the round. I actually will go ahead and spend my priest and 4 coins to go up on the shipping track, which will give me 2 victory points, bringing me up to 55. Then for the Automa, their next action is they're taking another power action, blocking 2 from the left. So 1, 2, they're blocking off gain a priest and get no victory points. As for me, that's like season ticket baseball. All players are carded on the team, even if they play 1 game, which I've got a lot of season ticket baseball, and I've actually got a big project coming up on that starting in January. So if you're interested in that, feel free to spend a lot of time on the channel. Coming back to Terra Mystica, now I want to start putting down a lot of dwellings, or a lot of dwellings. So I think here we are going to spend 2 coins and 2 workers, because for this wasteland, I need 1 more step just to check Aroldis Chapman in 2016 was a Yankee and was traded to the Cubs. He played 20 plus games for both teams and has a card for both teams. All right, then players are carded on every team they play it on. So once again, thank you for the information, Jester. Plains, and that will become a dwelling, and I will get 3 victory points, 2 for the round action, 1 for my special faction ability. Now I probably need to start upgrading some of my dwellings, which is also an option. As for what the Automa is doing, they are trying to advance on catch-up mechanic 1. They're advancing on catch-up mechanic 1 from the right. So actually they're advancing here. They're sending a priest to the air track, which is 1, 2, 3. As for me, I think well, now I can get to this plains without any problem. So I think, So yeah, I think we'll go ahead and spend 2 coins and a tool. And just so I know, the cards are different. They're based upon how they played on that team. So if somebody was great on an earlier team and then got shelled later, the later card might be bad. That's good to know. And then we'll put a dwelling out here. This one will only give me 2 points because I didn't need a spade to get to that space. Then looking at this next card for the Automa, they're taking a faction action around their unmarked structures on priority B. So around their unmarked structures, that's down to priority B. No forests around those spaces, even on the shipping track, so that's not a problem. Going to mountains, there's nothing there they can reach. Islands, they do have a space they can reach. That's this one up here. So they will convert that to a forest. and put a dwelling down. Then they'll advance 2 spaces on a cult track based on ketchup. That'll be on the air track. They'll go up 2 there. As for me, well, as much as I don't want to, I think I need to upgrade a dwelling here. So I will go ahead and upgrade this dwelling because it's adjacent. So that'll cost me 2 coins, and that'll cost me 2 workers and 3 coins. I'll upgrade that dwelling into a trading station. And for the Automa, they are taking a power action 2 from the right. So they'll be advanced, they'll be going 1, 2, and blocking off build a workshop with a free spade. Let's see, as for me, I've got 7 coins and a worker left. Question here is, do I pass and plan on putting down my sanctuary this next round? I've not made enough headway on the fire track. Or do I just take the dwelling out here and pass the turn? I think that's what we'll do. So we'll spend our last worker and 2 coins to put down a dwelling up here. And since I am up 1 on the shipping track, I can skip a water space to make that connection. The Automa is in their last space of the game, so they are is in the last 2 cards of the deck, so they are potentially passing. And they are. There's that pass symbol in the upper right corner of the card. So the Automa gets 6 victory points. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. And they become the first player. They will also take the leftmost bonus tile. And will rebuild their deck. I am most likely going to be passing as well at this point because I've got no workers left. I know I'm going to be getting a boatload of them coming up here in the last round of the game. All right, we'll give that a cut. And we'll turn that. And then since I am out of workers, as I mentioned, I will have to pass. Now I don't need this to be considered up on the track. So here, is the 4 coins still available? I think it is. But the other question I'm looking at, if I can somehow get... Unfortunately, I'm not high enough on the fire track to be able to make use of the power cult bonus. But the question is, if I can put out another dwelling here, be able to get to the 2 fire token favor token, which means I only need 6 power of buildings to form a town, and make a connection here for endgame scoring. To do that, I would need 2. To do that, I would need 2, 3, 4, because I'll need a step here. 5, 6 workers. And I'm getting 8 from income. At least 8. The problem, once again, is going to be coins. Will I get enough power to get 4 into both 3 on income? And I think the answer is yes, I will get enough power. So I think this is an interesting game, a city builder. Yeah, it's actually a pretty cool game. There's another couple of other games devoted to this same universe, both of which I'll be playing in the next couple of days, but more on that toward the end of the stream. I think I will take, just because I need the coins, I will take the one that gives me 4 coins on income and a once per round action to advance 1 on any cult track. So I'm not going to bother putting out the bonus coins here because we're heading into the last round of the game. So I gave the Automa their 6 victory points. I don't get the 4 power from being up on fire track because I'm not up far enough. Then we can return this to the box. I'll refresh all of these. And then we're into the last round of the game. This one is about putting out strongholds or sanctuaries, neither of which I'm likely to be doing. So I will get a total of 1, 3, 7 power. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, which means I've got all 5 of my power ready to go. I get 2 6 coins, a priest, and I get 2 4 6 8 workers. This first action is where the Automa could potentially cause me serious problems if they take just the wrong card. Let's see what they're doing for the first round. They don't. They're actually taking a terraform and build around their unmarked structures on priority B. So we look at priority B to see around their unmarked structures. They do have a forest space they can get to, which is this space right up here. So they'll put a dwelling down there and advance 2 on ketchup, which, based on being closest together, without me tripping over my cord for my camera, let me just wave my hand here. Okay, we're all good there. So that's going to be going up on the air track. And the Automa gets 2 victory points for that. Let's see. Now the question is, do I have enough coins to do everything I want to? Because I need 2. I need 2 to get here. I need another 5 to upgrade this. And then I need another 2. So 2, 5, 2 is 9, which means I would have enough coins to then come back here and make the connection. So I would need... Let's see. So I have enough coins to do everything. So yeah, I think we'll go ahead. So actually, do we even need the coins at this point? And I think the answer might be no. That's the question here. Let's see. So let me just total this up again so I have my numbers straight. I need 2 coins to get here, 2 coins and a worker. Then I need 2 coins and 3 workers to get here to make the connection. I need 2 and 5 to upgrade this to a temple. Let's see, so 2 and 2. I think what I need here is actually going to be workers. Although I could use the priest as a worker if I need to, so I might be fine. So 3 here, 2 here, and 2 here. Actually, I think I'm fine, but let's go ahead. Let's go ahead and make the upgrade first. So I'm going to spend 2 workers and 5 coins to upgrade this dwelling into a temple, which gives me a favor tile. I will take the 2 on the fire track, and I only need 6 power to form a city. I do still need the 4 structures, though. So that'll send me up 2 on the fire track, which passes a power threshold, but I don't get to charge any power from that. As for the Automa, they are trying to upgrade. They don't have a trading station available, so they're upgrading to a temple. They're trying to upgrade something adjacent to me and giving me as little power as possible. So otherwise, any structure giving me as little power as possible. So these two would give me 2 power. Either one of these would give me 3. So they're trying to be adjacent to me and give me as little power as possible. So it's going to be one of these two that they're trying to upgrade. So directional selection says they're upgrading the first one they see, which will be this trading station, into a temple. They take a favor tile from any 3 that's available, so that'll be the 3 on water. 1, 2, 3. And they still get no victory points, but because they upgraded here, I can spend 1 victory point to gain 2 power, but I'm not going to bother with that. Okay, as for my next turn, I think we will go ahead and spend 2 coins and 2 workers, right? Yes, 2 workers, because I need 1 step to convert that into a plains, which is my home terrain. So I'll spend that. I'll put this dwelling down. And now because I have the favor token, I have 6 power out here, which is enough for me to form a second city. Or second town. So the question now becomes, which town tile do I actually want? That is a good question. So I think what we'll do here, I could really screw around with the tracks here if I wanted to. And I think we're going to advance past power thresholds again, but if I take the 2 on every track, but I don't think I can avoid that. It is going to be worth victory points at the end of the game, though, so I think that's the one we're going to take. So we'll put that down here, which will give me 2 more victory points and 2 up on every track. That's 2 up on fire, 2 up on water, 2 up on earth, and 2 up on air. Unfortunately, since I've already got all of my power into both 3, I don't get anything for power thresholds. Next action for the Automa is taking a power action, blocking 2 from the left. So 1, 2, that was another action I was going to potentially go for. So that causes problems, but not terribly, I don't think. And the Automa gets no victory points. Coming back to my turn, now I think I am going to go ahead and make the super connection, since I am up on the track, since I am up on the shipping track. I will need 1 to pay for the worker, or 1 to pay for the actual dwelling, and 2 more for the steps, since the wasteland is 2 away from my home terrain of plains. I also need the actual cost of the workshop. So I'm going to... Oh, hold on a second. I actually don't have hold on a second. I actually don't have the... upgrade. I don't have the dwelling. So I'm going to have to upgrade something. So I think with that in mind... change of plans. I'm going to have to spend 4 power for what? Probably 7 coins, because I've got the workers. If I use the priest as a worker as well, I've got the workers to get down here, so I will need 7 coins. Now I just have to hope that the Automa doesn't take this wasteland space from me, because that's what I'm planning on using to make my connection. Coming up next for the Automa is a faction action, which varies based on the faction that we're playing as. So the Druids take a terraform and build action around their power structure, so around here, based on priority B. They don't have a forest they can get to. They have a couple mountain spaces they can get to. They've got 1 here and 1 here. What's the tiebreaker for that? Let's see, terraform and build, faction action tiebreaker, which is not being built by. Space closest to any of my structures. This one is about 5 miles away from any of mine. This one's got 2 spaces away. So they're going to be building here, which means I need to go find a forest tile, which fortunately I can find one right there. They'll get their last dwelling, and we'll get a power token for it. And then they go up on a cult track based on ketchup, which will be on fire. Yeah, it'll be on fire because we're 1 apart. So they go up there. We're very much in a dogfight for that fire track. And then for me, since I dodged a bullet on that one, I'm actually going to make my connection here. So that'll be 1 worker, 2 more because I need 2 terraforming steps to get there. I am up high enough on the shipping track, and now 2 coins to transform that into a plains. And I still don't have the faction to do that, which is the reason I got the coins in the first place. So I need the 2 workers and I need the 2 workers, and I'm unfortunately going to need, actually I can use 3 coins to upgrade here. So I'll upgrade that dwelling into a trading station, and now I've got to duck them going for this wasteland 1 more time. I got lucky once, will I get lucky a second time? Fortunately, wasteland is down a ways on their A priority, but in the middle of their B priority, so I need to be careful of that. All right, I think we get away with one here. So they're taking another faction action to terraform and build. This one around their mark structures, which could be limited by reaching, but I don't think that's going to be a problem here, based on priority A, which they've got no forest they can get to. They've got a couple of islands they can get to, though. They've got here and here. This one's closer to any of my structures, which is the first tiebreaker. So they're going to build here, which means I need another forest tile, which is right here. Actually, never mind. They actually can't do that, so they're trying to upgrade instead. So let me just look here. So perform an upgrade action instead. Now they can upgrade a... So now they can upgrade a dwelling into a trading station. So they're going to be upgrading based on that instead. So they've got a whole bunch of dwellings down here they can upgrade to. Tiebreaker for upgrade, adjacent to any of my structures. So they can upgrade this one, and technically this one because of the... They can upgrade either one of these dwellings because they're the only ones adjacent to my trading station. They're adjacent here because of the water track. Because of their shipping track, they're up 1 on the shipping track. So based on that, we don't use the terrain priority based on when they're doing upgrade, but they will use directional selection coming up 2 from the bottom of the board. So 1, 2, they're upgrading this dwelling into a trading station. And then advancing 2 on ketchup, which will be the fire track, that'll get them to the top. And then since they upgraded around my trading station, I will spend 1 victory point to gain 2 power. All right, then looking at my next action, I think the next action we're going to do here is, as much as I want to send the scholar, or send the priest over to the air track, I need him as a worker. So I'm going to spend, so now that I've actually got a dwelling to upgrade, and now that I'm remembering that, I'm going to use my 2 workers and my priest as a worker. Let me show you how I'm doing that. So on the faction sheet, there's a conversion here where you can spend 5 power to get a priest, 3 to get a worker, or 1 to get a coin. And then priests can be spent as workers, which can also be spent as coins on a 1-for-1 basis. So the priest is being my third worker, essentially, which is going to finally terraform this wasteland into a plains, and I'll put a dwelling on there. Because of my faction's special ability, I get 2 victory points from the spades I used. But more importantly, I've got a big city connection right around the middle of the board here. So the Automa is going into their next turn. They are terraforming and building around their unmarked power structures on priority B. So around unmarked on priority B. They've got no forests around them they can get to. They do have a dwelling that they can build now. Over on mountains, they do have a mountain they can get to. They actually have a couple they can get to. Let's see, they've got 1, 2... No, they can't get to this one, but they've got 1, 2... 2 mountain spaces they can get to. Closest to any of my structures is going to be this mountain up here. Fall Classic Baseball, the complete 30-team season set with 1,280 batter and pitcher cards printed, and all the players on PDF. Good to know that as well. So they will get they'll get that there, and then they'll gain a victory point, not a marked structure. And then the only thing I have left to do is advancing 1 on a track of my choice, which is going to be... Oh, they should be the ones up there, not me. Actually, they're up 2, so they should be up there. Let's see. Let's see. The only action I have left is on my round booster to go up 1 on a track. That will be going up on the Earth track, which will give me 2 power now that I'm crossing a threshold. Because we're in the perpendicular section of the card, the Automa is potentially claiming end of game. And they are. They've got a pass symbol up here, so they are claiming end of game. And I think I'm claiming end of game as well. So that is the end. So actually, the Automa gets 5 victory points because they're up on the air track. 4, 5. All right, that is the end of the game. So now we do end game scoring. So we'll score the we'll score the continuous space first. So the way that's scored is based on whoever's got the longest continuous space scores 18 points. The next highest scores 12. I'm coming into this with 63. They're coming in with 46. We'll see how that lasts. So the Automa, because of their level on the shipping track, has 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11 continuous spaces. I have 1, 2, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12. So I get the 18 points going from 63 to 81. They go from 46 to 58. Then we score the cult tracks. We'll score each one individually. They got to 9 on fire. I got to 6. So the Automa gets 8 points. I get 4. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. 1, 2, 3, 4. Same thing will be true on the water track. 7, 8. 1, 2, 3, 4. On the earth track, it's reversed. I get the 8 points. They get 4. 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. 1, 2, 3, 4. And then on the air track, they get 8, I get 4. 8, 1, 2, 3, 4. And I've got a 100-point token for that. Yep, come on. Out with the 100-point. There we go. And then the last little bit is coin scoring. For every 3 coins I have left, I score another point. I have 9 left at the end of the game, so that's another 3 points. 1, 2, 3. And that is Terra Mystica. I win this one by a score of 104 to 86. That will do it to this playthrough of Terra Mystica. I do still enjoy this game, but I think I see where it's starting to show its age a little bit. The problem here is that the board is basically static, where you pretty much know how everything's going to be laid out. The call tracks don't change, the favor tokens don't really change. Strategies might change a little bit depending on what city, maybe depending on what faction you're playing, but otherwise you're basically going to get the same game out of it every time you play. And I think that's part of why I'm starting... Sour isn't necessarily the word I want for what I'm feeling toward Terra Mystica, but I don't know. I definitely see this. Definitely see this game hitting my table less. Not just part of that. Granted, part of that is because I just have so many games that I want to get to the table, as pretty much anybody in this hobby does. Like case in point, Jester with his wall of games that he's worried is going to fall over and kill him one of these days. But I think part of the problem I have with Terra Mystica, again, is the static board, the same board you've known for years. Maybe the expansions would help with that, but I don't necessarily know if the expansions would do enough to change the game and make it feel more replayable, if that makes sense. But we'll see what I think coming out of Gaia Project and Age of Innovation in the course of the next couple of days. I'm going to work on getting this cleaned up a little bit more, because as is tradition this month, at the end of the first stream of the month, we do have to crack today's entry in the Advent calendar. So if you guys want to chip in with any of your thoughts you might have on Terra Mystica, I will definitely welcome some thoughts on that. Like I said, I'm just getting this cleaned up a little bit so I can make the board somewhat manageable before we crack today's entry in the Advent calendar. You'll probably hear me cussing and swearing a little bit as I try to make everything fit. At least, to get the board somewhat cleaned up. Come on. I almost forgot I've got these few green tokens left on the cult board. Excuse me. All right, that is probably cleaned up enough now to bring the Advent calendar into shot. So Troy, I don't know how much of the Advent of the Phoenix you've been following this year, but every day at the end of the first stream for the day, we're cracking open this Advent calendar as kind of our own little channel countdown to Christmas. And today is as today is the 16th of the month, we are looking for the 16th entry in the Advent calendar, which is right here. This is 3 different sets of dice that I've been cracking open. I'll show you the different sets. So these are the sets of dice we've gotten so far. We've got a gray and white set and a green and white set that I'm really happy with. This purple and green set, though, I'm very much not liking that, because it is very hard to read those dice. And as you can imagine, when I crack this against the greens, when I crack a die like that against the green screen, it makes it very hard to see what the die actually is. But let's say I stop rambling, and we'll crack open our entry for today's calendar. So we want the 16th. And we'll pull that out. And delightful. So now we get the D20 from the purple and green set, where the special symbol, if I can ever find it on here, there we are. The special symbol in the set, once it decides to focus, is the 20. Then it flips into a 1 like so. Should go through the tower just fine, which I will, of course, bring my main tower into shot to test that out. Yep, goes through the tower just fine, but again, not real happy with that green and black and with that green and purple set at all. But in the ramble, that will do it for this playthrough of Terra Mystica. I'm going to finish cleaning this up, and then later this afternoon, we will be playing Gaia Project. Per Jester's request, I am going to try the expansion out for the first time on the channel, so you'll get to hear my first reaction to that one, and I will preface this stream I'll preface that by saying there's potential to be cussing and swearing in that one. So if your ears are allergic to hearing some naughty words, obviously I'm not going to try to use the big ones as much as possible, but there may be a little bit of cussing and swearing in that stream, so viewer discretion is advised. Well, I might unveil another test project that I'm working on later tonight as well. But tomorrow morning, we will be playing Age of Innovation in this same world. Thank you for watching the video. Please give the video a thumbs up and subscribe to the channel. Be sure to turn on notifications to get my content. Be well, stay safe, take care of yourselves and your loved ones, and I'll be back with more videos in the future. Until then, take care everyone, and thanks Jester for all the information on Fall Classic. Once again, take care. We'll see you guys later this afternoon.